NERDstradamus. Hey, NERDstradamus here again. So here's another video of me talking about how the market's not gonna crash. And guess what? Not only did it not crash, but people profited big time and are gonna continue to profit, not just now in 2021, but 2022 and maybe beyond, because values are not stopping. Inflation's only getting worse. I've been saying it for years. Stop sitting on the sidelines. Mortgage Nerd or NERDstradamus. Here's the next video. Hey everyone, Mortgage Nerd here. Coming to you today talking about why the real estate market is not gonna crash. I'm getting tired of going on these Facebook groups where there's realtors and mortgage professionals and they're all like, oh, there's a tsunami of foreclosures coming. Everybody thinks that the last recession is gonna be the same as this one. Everyone's an expert. Oh, I lived through the market crash and so watch. There's a wave of foreclosures coming. You watch, because there's 30% unemployment. All right, so let's put that in perspective. 30% unemployment, right? Yeah, but there's only 7.47% people in forbearance. So if only 7 to 8% of mortgages are in forbearance, that means that people aren't paying, but they're not recording late payments on their credit, which you go into foreclosure when you have a late payment on your credit 3 months in a row, then they foreclose on you. But none of these people are late on their mortgage. They're in forbearance. Hey everyone, Mortgage Nerd back again. Let's talk about old people. Let's talk about why old people are gonna keep us from having this market crash. All these people, remember, baby boomers used to be the largest portion of our population. Now it's millennials. So the baby boomers, these people are all in their 60s and 70s now, and they're not selling. They're like, F that, I'm not selling. I'm gonna downsize. No, I'm not downsizing. I'm gonna move from my condo to a single family home with a pool so I can take care of my grandkids. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. All these people that would normally sell and move somewhere else without buying again are not selling. So how many hundreds of thousands of potential sellers are not putting their houses on the market? This is why the inventory is low. Inventory being low, being small, very little inventory, it's supply and demand. Very few sellers, a ton of buyers with this low rates, eating up those properties, bidding them up, pushing values up. That's why values are gonna continue to go up. Let's talk about birth rates. Birth rates? What the heck do birth rates have to do with the current market and foreclosures? There was this thing in the 70s called Roe versus Wade. It allowed for the termination of pregnancies to be legal. I'm not taking a political stance on this. This is an educational video. That ruling, take a look. Look what happened in that ruling. Caused a sharp decline in population, in birth rates. It's pretty crazy. I never thought about this stuff, but it's in the chart. Look, these are birth rates. The average first-time home buyer, somebody that's not selling a property to buy a property, someone that's just becoming a buyer, not a seller, average age is 33. What's the average age of a millennial? About 33. So we have the largest portion of our population, used to be the baby boomers, and now it's on these kids. Yeah, went from old people to kids. I'm somewhere in the middle. So these millennials are buying their first homes. And I mean, they're doing it with the lowest rates in history. Why in the heck not? Do it, get in and do it. But if they're the largest portion of our population, it's much easier to buy than ever because these rates are so low, the purchasing power is there. Oh, well, Phil, the values are overinflated and the sales prices are high. Doofus, it doesn't matter. The payment is lower than it was 2 years ago at a lower value. The purchasing power is amazing. Guidelines are strict. It's hard to buy a property. Yes, a lot of millennials are doing it. What is, let's define equity. Can you read? It's equity. That's the definition of equity. What you have left in your property between the value and what you owe is your equity. There is more equity now in this country than ever. More than 15 years ago, 13 years ago before the market crashed. Supply and demand, old people, kids, equity, forbearances. So let's look at a couple charts. This one shows the average appreciation of homes, about 5% a year. It shows you the craziness right before 2008 when values spiked and then they crashed and they went under that line. You can see that happening there. But I also want you to notice something. Each of the gray lines, the vertical lines, is a recession. How many times did values drop during a recession? Look closely. Once, another time was flat, yet people think values are going to drop. People think there's going to be 1 million foreclosures, even though we have the lowest interest rates in history. Let's look at the rates in history compared to recessions. Again, vertical lines are recessions. Look at those rates. Notice how the steady decline in interest rates over the last few decades. So yeah, I mean, look, there is something crazy that's happening here. How much lower can we go? There's something called the liquidity trap. And I learned that in economics, and that's something Japan has been going through for decades. Because how much lower can you go? Japan has 100-year mortgages because they just can't drop their interest rates anymore. And they live generationally, multiple generations in a property because it's a 100-year mortgage. Will we head that way? It's possible, who knows? But right now you could take advantage of these crazy low rates. Watch my video on amortization. It's not just the purchasing power up front, it's the power you get in the back to build wealth. Every payment has a huge chunk going to principal, when before it was a tiny 16% of your payment went to principal. I'm just gonna drop stuff and pretend it's a mic. Come on, nothing's crashing.